stand-up comedian, actor, writer, producer, and promoting his new film, American Dreamer, which will be in theaters on demand on September 20th.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. You know, I am most excited for that kid's father, because that kid's father's like, he probably thought I'm failing at being a dad. You know what I mean? It's like, you're like, do I get him off this thing? Do I, forget it? Stop fighting. And then the kid wins that thing, and he's like, I'm the best dad ever. I'm the best dad ever.
But are you lenient with your kids to play video games? You got 5 kids.
Yeah, no, there's I think that a lot of parents would never honestly admit how much screen time their kids engage in. Like I feel like I did a tweet where like 90% of parenting is just taking iPads away from kids. There's a lot of that, but I wouldn't say I always thought I'd be a lenient dad, but I'm much more of like my dad, just kind of like a bastard.
How much material do you get out of family life?
There's a lot. I mean, I make a point of not inserting too much in my show because I don't want to, because I remember being the guy in my 20s and seeing people talk about their wife or husband and kids and just going, I can't get a date. What are they talking about? So I intentionally don't bring up a lot of kids material.
But does your wife, who gives you the most material that you're able to use in your stand-up?
I guess some of it is my kids, but I think some of it, the biggest source of material is anger. Things.
But why are you angry?
Because, it's hard to be me. No, I think that there's
What's hard about being Jim Gaffigan? You seem like a nice Midwest guy.
But there's a lot of anger underneath there, right? You have a lot of anger too.
A little bit, yeah. I'm Midwest. I'm from Ohio.
And, you know what I mean? It's like it has to come out as passive aggressive behavior.
Well, I just yell at those guys over there.
And you can yell at those guys, right? By the way, the diversity on this show is staggering.
Thank you. Yeah. we were like a Benetton ad. I mean, we check the boxes here.
It's like, well, there's a guy with tattoos. Don't worry. They all have. It's like everyone is wearing glasses, too. It's do you have weak eyesight?
You made this show even whiter, Jim.
I know. I'm the whitest guy. By the way, can I just, men are gross, by the way. But, I was at the pool this weekend because I have kids. I would never go to the pool otherwise. As men get older, profoundly grosser. I saw a guy at the pool. He had his shirt off. He looked like a first draft of a human. Like it was rather, I felt like I was like, is that a Simpsons character or an actual guy walking by?
He's here right now. Fritzy, stand up.
I don't appreciate that. That's not nice. Things are going so well today.
It's all good.
I can't imagine you at the pool.
I know. I'm not supposed to be.
No,
I'm
you
not
shouldn't
supposed to be outside.
No.
But you do these things.
But I saw what you're famous for, and one of the things is being pale.
Yes.
Like that's not a great. That's like you didn't accomplish anything.
No, it's not. That's a great point. It's a recessive gene. It's something that I felt tortured with as a child. And you can't really establish any kind of pride around it. You can't be like, hey, I'm proud to be white. You can't do that. So I just, but yeah, it is a source. And I think of humor. And there's a lot of pale people. It's kind of compared to like other struggles, it's nothing. But like, for pale people, it's rough.
Who was the comedian you first heard or watched and you went, I'd like to do that?
I think that Jonathan Winters was one of my all-time favorites, where he kind of embodied the whole kind of conversation, doing these characters. But I think Letterman was a huge influence, and Bill Murray, definitely, like kind of sarcastic, but in kind of a way where, like Letterman was embodied kind of making fun of things, or making fun of someone, but they were in on the joke. And
you remember your first Letterman appearance?
Oh yeah, I remember it. It was something that it went like that, and it was one of those things where I was saying it over and over in my mind the night before because it was, I mean, I'm from Indiana, and that was like my overall goal was to appear on Letterman.
Because
So,
he's from Indiana.
yeah. And he was the guy that I would watch on TV growing up in a small town in Indiana. I'm like, oh, you can get out of here. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, wow, I could maybe do something.
And then you want Dave to laugh.
Yes.
How aware are you if Dave is laughing when you're doing your stand-up?
You're very aware because, you know, his laugh and also Paul's laugh, very unique.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, you know, like performing on Letterman was, because I did it so many times, there was kind of there's a certain kind of relationship you establish where he kind of like, sometimes you'd be on the show and he'd just look at you like, go. You know, like he's like, I'm not in the mood for this. You just start saying some jokes, which I could appreciate because he did it for so long. And, you know, I think there were a couple of years there where he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Just keep talking.
But when you hear laughs, like how addictive is that?
Oh, it's incredibly addictive. I think it's more addictive coming up with new material, like, or a new line. So like I have new material, which is special, which is different from my recent special. And so coming up with new lines, I think I've never tried heroin, but I imagine it's that close where it's, you know, it drives you, you know, to kind of come up with new material, and there's a sense of accomplishment, and then I can just go and overeat and I feel fine.
But I said this to Jonah Hill one time, and it didn't go over well. He lost all that weight.
Yeah.
And I said, do people look at you differently, like you're not as funny because you're in shape or you lost this weight? And he took it the wrong way. I didn't mean it as a negative as much as how people perceive you. Like Brad Pitt, you don't want to see him be funny because he's Brad Pitt. He looks great. Like, we don't want good-looking guys to also be funny.
I don't think so. I think that, I mean, obviously there's exceptions, me.
Yes.
But no, but I think that there is something about, I don't think we want to see good-looking people complain. I think, or like, even when like a good-looking person kind of does the self-deprecating thing, you're kind of like, come on. You know what I mean? like they're digging real deep. They're like, oh, I hate my wrists. My wrists are so wristy. And you're just thinking, why don't you cut them? You know what I mean? It's like, but there is, so like, I think the struggles of, you know, the human experience is, and I think that it's so rare for men to be even attractive. I think it's like when there's like a Brad Pitt, people are kind of like, all right, you get to be good looking.
But he was really good in Once Upon a Time.
Oh, really?
The Tarantino movie?
Yeah, I'm sure he
was very funny.
Yeah. I have no doubt that he's funny. I've met him.
But sometimes the guy who you don't expect to be funny is funnier because of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think George Clooney's really funny too. But I think also I think that generally humans and also the entertainment industry puts people in categories. Like, you played a priest, now you're just going to play a priest. You know what I mean? So, and I guess we do that, you know, in general to people.
Weren't you a football player? Were you a football player in high school?
I was in high school.
Were you any good?
I was all right. I was the captain. The year my brother, I had an older brother, and we were undefeated. We won like 32 games in a row. And we also had a school that was 100 students. And we also had a soccer team. So it was like really exceptional. And there were girls too. And so it was really exceptional for the football team to be good. But it was just a short stretch where it was really good. And that was because there were a bunch of families that had like 2 kids. So like me and my brother I was the center and he was the tackle. We were both the defensive ends. And then 2 other brothers one was a tight end and one was the wide receiver and one was a quarterback and one was a running back. It was like 4 families were the whole team. But yeah, no, football was a big thing. I mean,
Do you root for the Colts?
I do root for the Colts, but I can't do the commit. I mean, I I played football. You're showing that Purdue thing. I walked on there, and I ended
Look
up
at that
quitting.
hair.
I know, that was nice back then.
You were golden boy.
I had hair, and I was in
you
shape.
don't do steroids anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
All right.
And but it was just too much of. So like after there was like probably 4 or 5 years where I didn't watch football at all. After I quit, I was like, I can't deal with it. And then I enjoy it, but it's a commitment also when you have children. I do, there's also, it's keeping up with all the information. I know this is what you guys do all the time, but I'm like, I can't. Like I was hanging around. I was talking to Seinfeld last night. He's watching the Mets game.
Name dropping right there.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Well done.
It's like I grew up listening. I knew all the baseball players. Now I couldn't name 2 Mets. I couldn't name 2 Mets.
Because you have kids.
Well, I think that, and I'm just, I don't know, lazy.
Would you rather your kids got into sports or comedy?
Ooh, that's a good point. I think sports was really important for keeping me out of trouble. So, I would say sports.
Because comedy it's supposed to be the hardest thing, right? Well, is it the hardest thing?
I don't know if it's the hardest thing. It's just the entertainment industry is it's such a fluke. All of us sitting in here, we're in the entertainment industry and we have these amazing jobs, but it is in a way a fluke. Like there's hundreds of people that would love to do what we do. But it's this strange navigation thing where it's like, I always talk about like Dead Poets Society, like there was the evil dad who was like, don't go into acting. It's like now I look at that dad and I'm like, he was right. Do you know what I mean? It's like the odds are really small.
Wait, the kid who killed himself.
Right?
Yeah, his dad.
His dad was a good guy.
A little dark there, Jim.
His dad was a good guy.
He was.
Yeah, he was right.
Did you almost quit?
No, I didn't. I kind of resigned myself. There was a couple of years where I was like, all right, I guess I'm the weird uncle that does stand up, that lives in a dirty apartment, and at least I get to do what I like, but yeah, no, I didn't really see, because there was an enjoyment coming up with new jokes, and there is that feedback of doing stand-up.
Do you know that there's one joke you can always go to? Let's say you've had 2 that fall, they fall flat. Then you just go, all right, I'll go through the Rolodex and I can come back with a hammer.
Well, you're always working on new material. So when I'm doing my longer theater shows, I usually will either do an encore or end with this like 7 or 8 minute chunk on Hot Pockets that will kind of clean it up. You know
My
what I mean?
kids, that's where I first learned about you with your stand-up was Hot Pockets.
I know.
Caliente Pockets.
Yes.
And I came in the next day with these guys. I said, my daughter said, Dad, you got to watch this guy. And then she started singing Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
Caliente Pocket.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
I don't, that was back, it's an old joke. It's back when they first introduced them or they first started advertising them. And it was the worst commercial I'd ever seen. And the jingle was so basic. And, but it was one of those things, like I saw it as the next level of like, the 7-Eleven frozen burrito. But I didn't know. I didn't know that it was going to be kind of the meal that every teenager or single guy was going to eat. I had a bunch of jokes on it and it just started taking off.
I want you to listen to this. Fritzy has now he's done stand-up.
Okay.
He's done 4 times.
All right.
In 5 years.
Okay.
So he's really been out there.
Not that consistent.
Okay. This is his signature bit.
Okay.
And this was at Caroline's.
Okay.
So this is Monday night, open mic, 6 o'clock. Fritzy is on the stage at Caroline's.
So I'm at a sporting event the other night, and at least 3 different people come over to me asking if I'm sitting in their seats. So I don't know if it's if you guys ever deal with this, if you go to a concert, a sporting event, how difficult is to find seats at a concert or a sporting event? Think about it. It's got all the information you need right there on the ticket. Section, row, seat number. Section, row, seat number. It's really, really not that complicated. I got these people coming over to me and saying, I think we're in the same seat. Not only are they not in my seats, they're all the way on the other side of the arena. They couldn't have been further from where I'm at. So I don't understand. Section, row, seat. Let's get it together. Just some people I just can't deal with.
The entire bit.
That's interesting.
Oh, that's being polite.
No. I think I see that there's a comic idea there, right?
Yeah.
And there's something probably universal about it, but maybe it's, and obviously it was funny, you probably told, and it was universal when you talk to people about it. You're like, people keep asking. And
it was quiet in Carolyn.
And it was based on a true story, but some of it is, that might be something shared by people that go to sporting events, but not everyone goes to sporting events.
The guys like to remind me there's a difference between observation and observational humor.
Yeah, there was no humor in the observation.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard.
Oh, I know. It's hard. But you could you take that to the next level?
Maybe. I would have started and said, I don't know what it is about me, but people always think I'm sitting in their seat at sporting events.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then I would say, because it does happen, but I don't go to that many sporting events. So does it happen that often?
It does to me. It seems
and then it's kind of a commentary on how people are just too lazy to look at their tickets. That's the observation. It's like, how did these people get here? Like, what are they, instead of in Madison Square Garden, are they sometimes like just in the Wendy's next door going, aren't the Knicks supposed to be playing in here? Do you know what I mean?
The film is American Dreamer in
Yes.
theaters and on demand September 20th. You're a down-on-your-luck driver,
Yes.
and you take extra cash. You're driving around low-level drug dealers.
Yes.
And
One
then
drug dealer.
And then
Yeah.
you get in trouble.
I get in trouble.
You find trouble.
Well, I'm this guy who's, we're all kind of a couple bad decisions away from, being in a precarious situation. And this is a story about that guy who starts driving around this drug dealer, and he kind of sees that this drug dealer has this money, and he decides to kidnap the drug dealer's kid. Not a great idea. Not a great idea. And so, but the movie kind of looks at, it's a thriller, so I don't want to give too much away because, but it is amazing. You should see the trailer. You should see the trailer.
Are you a tough guy?
No, but I play a guy who's pretty, he starts off normal. Like, we've all been in an Uber and you're like, oh, that seems like a normal guy. What's his story? And then as the movie goes on, you're like, oh, I can't believe I ever rooted for this guy. So it's one of those people. In other words, it's like everyone you know.
You look tough on the poster.
I look tough, intimidating, right?
Look at that.
So that's pretty intimidating.
A lot of makeup on there.
They darkened my beard.
I know, they did. They darkened your face, too.
Yeah, they actually made
You got a tan.
I look like that could be like, London's Fallen. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
I could be like the
Gerard Butler?
Is it Gerard or Jared?
I call him Gerard.
I call him Jared.
Okay.
I call him, or Jerry. I act like I'm going to know
Jerry Butler. Who's your most famous friend, aside from Seinfeld, which you reminded us of?
It's, I don't know. I don't really have that many friends. No, I don't have famous friends, I don't think.
Aside from Seinfeld.
I don't know. I mean, there's friends that I hang out with, and then there's people I know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no, if you recall, okay, the most famous phone number you have. Do you want mine so you have a famous friend?
Yeah.
I'll give you mine.
No, I would say, I don't know.
You're overthinking this, Jim.
I am overthinking it because I don't want to sound like a jerk. I don't know. I have Liev Schreiber's phone number.
Okay.
I have
That's good.
Kiefer Sutherland's phone number.
Oh, all right.
You know what I mean?
Now we're talking.
Now, but usually
Kardashian? Do you know the Kardashians?
No, I don't know
You
the Kardashians.
All right. Like
No.
Cardi B? Anybody like that?
No, Cardi B. I know I'd look like I'd be friends with Cardi B.
You
but
do.
I'm not. We're just both from like the same background. And we're both into hip hop.
You're both former strippers.
Well, I prefer exotic dancer, but yeah.
Good luck with American Dreamer. He's Jim
so
Gaffigan. He's stand-up comedian, actor, writer, producer.
There you go.
And decent guy.
Thank you.
And father of 5.
Father of 5.
Anything else? Are you 5 and done? Or are you done?
Oh my God, I hope so. Yeah, no, I mean, I love my children, but they're killing me. You know what I mean?
You have a 2-bedroom apartment?
No, I did.
Okay.
When I wrote this book, Dad is Fat, we had a 2-bedroom, which was a good idea. But yeah, no, it's just too much. But I also have a new special on Amazon Prime, Quality Time, which you have to check out.
Okay.
But 1 wife, 5 children, overweight. What else do you need to know?
And a couple of specials.
Couple of specials.
You're living the American dream.
It's all good. American Dreamer.
He's Jim Gaffigan.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.